Happy Sunday morning, Patriots. You know, Patriots lift up Patriots. That's what I'm here to do. Big H is in the house, the biggest cat. Yeah, that's right, the biggest cat. All right, so anyway, let's get into this. You'll see over there, Miracle of America. W. Cleon Skousen. This was just a lesson he was doing with some classmates, and I thought I'd turn it on to you.
Guides, because in it you will find an outline of everything that I will be covering. And you will notice that each point has a blank, a word that has to be filled in. You actually have to help write the book. And that's done for a reason. Do you know that if you just sat and listened to the material that we'll be covering, you could only permanently recall, somewhere around 2% of it. But if you faithfully follow the outline and fill in the blanks, you'll be able to recall about 75%. That's the advantage of what we call programmed learning.
This is the way it should be done. And it's old school, I get it. But it should be hands on, not virtual, and truth.
Now, if you want to put down your pencil in case you're filling in the study guide, I'll just tell you a little story.
This is good.
I want to tell you about an individual who in 1966 came out of a penitentiary on parole from California. He'd been in there off and on for about 15 years, and while he was there, he'd been studying under a man named John Hall. John Hall was a communist. He carefully trained this young American in all the philosophy of Marxism. John Hall said the communists were right. Karl Marx was right. America should be burned down and destroyed, and we should start over with a whole new system.
And this is the truth. Way before the 1900s, communism, Marxism, socialism was all around. So it took almost 100 years to fully supplant their teeth into our American culture. And it's totally been, behind the curtain, but now the curtain is seriously wide open.
He was very critical of the Constitution. He was critical of our open society. He was critical of our whole American heritage. And as a result, this young American ex-convict came out on the streets in 1966, a dedicated communist and ready to burn the country down. His name was Eldridge Cleaver. Eldridge Cleaver joined one of the new revolutionary movements, which was called the Black Panthers. And from his point of view, they were a great success. Within 2 years, by 1968, they had over 100 American cities burning. However,
does that remind you of anything? Over 100 cities burning in the late 60s. Does history repeat itself? It sure does.
Eldridge Cleaver was a black. It bothered him a little when the communist leaders kept having them burn down black communities and black neighborhoods. He didn't know it then, but he learned later that they were trying to intimidate the people so they would be under the discipline of the Black Panthers and the other groups that were controlled by the Communist Party. In any event, it was about that time that the shooting began, and there were quite a number of the leaders of the Black Panthers who were killed, and also a number of policemen were killed, and they were blowing up buildings and so forth, trying to get even with society. It was a very difficult period, and as a result, Eldridge Cleaver found himself in a shootout, and he didn't kill anybody, but he got wounded himself, and that's when he left the country. And he fled first to Cuba, and then to Algeria, and then he went to Red China, and he was in...
Listen to what he's about to say, folks. This is pretty important. And I suggest somebody else get out there and see the world and compare it to what you grew up in.
North Korea, and then he was in Russia. He went the whole red circuit, but he noticed something. Nowhere was communism a success. Everywhere there were lots of people who wanted to get out of the Iron Curtain and away from the bamboo curtain and get to America. And before long, Eldridge Cleaver was doing some hard thinking. He thought back on what John Hall had taught him. No God, no soul, no future life, and no America. It was a future without hope. And he decided he'd been wrong. He came back, he said to me,
do you know how hard that is to wake up and smell the coffee? Do you know how hard that is? It's very difficult. And for this gentleman to do it is absolutely inspiring.
Himself, the Black Panthers were wrong. Our whole approach was wrong. And so he went to the American embassy and asked if he could come back, go to prison, serve his time. He said, I'd rather be in jail in America than free in these countries. So he came home. He served his time. He finished his parole. And now he's free. And he teaches for us because he has a great story to tell. He really appreciates America now. But you know, when he first came to us, he had 3 important questions. And those questions are in your outline. And that's where we're going to start. And I hope you have your outline and your pencil as we go now through the subject matter that has been assigned to us. First of all
right, so
Ellis
part 2 is
Cleaver
coming.
That
was just part 1. And I'll get back to you. I'm going to leave a comment in the bottom so you can get to that. And, you know, if you caught anything out of that story, that would be great for you to be able to let me know that. Other than that, wait till you see part 2 to this. It'll be really good. God bless. Kiss, love, hug a veteran. And I will see you on the other side.